My name is Azza Karam, and I serve as the Secretary General of Religions for Peace International. What that basically means is I have responsibility to serve a structure or a series of platforms that are called interreligious councils. There are 90 interreligious councils in 90 countries and 6 regional interreligious councils. What's an interreligious council, you may ask? Well, it's a structure, a platform, an organization that brings together the religious leaders representing the religious institutions of their respective countries and the religious communities. It is a platform of religious leadership. They differ from one country to the other, and they differ obviously from one region to the other. But what they all have in common is that they are a unique inter-religious platform representing the religious leadership of the respective religious communities. Well, we all know that COVID-19 is a public health crisis of major proportion. It has not just touched one country or one nation or one part of the world, it's touched us all. It's also a disease that impacts terribly on our lungs, on our very ability to breathe. COVID-19 is a public health crisis of major proportions, but COVID-19 is also related to another public health crisis of major proportion. It comes from another public health crisis, which is the crisis of deforestation. Because our forests are our lungs, the lungs of this earth. And as we struggle to breathe when we are infected by COVID-19, so our earth struggles to breathe when the forests are removed. That is just the reality. And in order for us to be able to save the lungs of our earth, we must, which is the most effective means to combat climate change, by the way, but if we have to save our forests, we need to make sure that they're all hands on deck. Trying to ensure climate change is not something that's done out there. It's something that we all have to contribute to. We want to make sure that we can eradicate COVID-19 and other similar public health crises in the future. We have to make sure that our planet can breathe and survive much better than it currently is.
The world is facing a global crisis due to COVID-19, but yet another danger awaits us: climate change. We need commitment from different levels, individuals, institutions, and communities to face these challenges. One of the priorities in Religion for Peace's strategic plan is nurturing a sustainable environment. It aligns with SDG 13 of the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development.
So where's the religious in all this? Well, it's really very simple. The oldest social service providers to humankind, the oldest institutions that we know, have actually been and are religious institutions. Churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, and their affiliated non-governmental actors at the local level, at the national level, and at the regional and global level. Religious actors are the original governments of this world. Long before we had governments, we had religious institutions. And they have always operated on the principle of service to their communities. That's why Religions for Peace's interreligious councils are an amazing infrastructure, because they bring together all these different religious institutions and leaders into one space in every country to serve together, because it's not just enough for any one religion to serve its own. What we are confronted with today that COVID-19 teaches us is that we all have to work together to serve everyone. None of us has the luxury of only serving their own communities, whether secular or religious or none. So we must work together. We also know that religious institutions have a moral obligation to work with one another, to serve together, and also to serve as part of civil society, and to serve their governments. That is the quintessential moral obligation. And when we speak to our counterparts in the United Nations and other churches, everywhere, we always say we need to work together, we need to collaborate. And by the way, Sustainable Development Goals number 17 is all about that. It's about those partnerships. Sometimes we forget that those partnerships also need to include this massive multi-religious sector.
As a Christian, I believe that God is the creator and that God is present in the creation. It is my obligation and my responsibility to protect this world and this life that God gave us. We can already see the effects of climate change, and we need to act now to prevent an uncertain future and more devastating catastrophes.
So, within that sector, what is COVID-19 showing us all today? Many things. One of the most interesting about them is that technology is the way that we're communicating with each other, right? You wouldn't see me without technology. I wouldn't know you're having a meeting if it hadn't been for technology. So therefore, technology is a very important means of communicating and connectivity, something that we desperately need to do in an age when we can no longer touch one another, even if we are in the same room. Who are the lungs of our connectivity technology? Youth. Absolutely youth. It certainly isn't my generation that knows much. I'm struggling to do this video. So therefore, we are pretty much in the hands of our youth. They are the leaders not just of the future, which is a very common cliche. They are the leaders of now. They are the leaders now. That's why Religions for Peace has invested systematically in an interfaith youth network, which is a unique infrastructure that exists across the world, representing all the different religions. When we convened our strategic planning meeting in December, we found ourselves listening to one another for sure, and speaking with one another for sure, but we found ourselves inspired by our young people. And these young people are not just the inspiration, they're the actors, they're the actual actors of all of us going forward. We need to make sure that we can work with young people in a much more systematic and coordinated fashion to support an intergenerational effort, intergenerational, multi-religious, and multi-dimensional effort to save our environment today, because that's how we can save humanity for tomorrow.
As youth from different countries, social backgrounds, and religions are collaborating to achieve this priority, because youth is the present and the future of humanity. And if we want to have tomorrow leaders that are capable of facing the challenges that will arise, then we need today to teach youth to work together on making the earth a better place.
The young generations of today are the leaders of tomorrow, and we are strong, we are motivated, and we are committed. If we act now, we can make a change, and we can show that it is possible to live in harmony with the creation and with God.
In order to learn more about their work of Religions for Peace, please visit www.rfp.org, religionsforpeace.org, but also follow our work with youth that is on our Facebook. We have a lot to do together. We have an opportunity to work together in ways that were hitherto not thought of. Let's make it happen. We have an obligation to this planet. We have an obligation to the people who will be living long after us on this planet. We have an obligation to the species that needs to be kept alive if this planet is to be kept alive.